Good evening, and welcome to Virginia Rep's Bedtime Stories. Bedtime stories. They are magical, aren't they? So I'm going to open this book. And if you're ready, and I know I'm ready, let's see what we find.
Hello, I'm BB Wolf with the Fairy Tale News Network, and here are today's top stories. Authorities are still scrambling after local daredevil egg Humpty Dumpty's latest stunt went sunny side up last week. Eyewitness reports state that while preparing for the event, he slipped on a side of butter and tumbled over the palace walls. Spokesperson for the king states that we have all the king's horses and all the king's men trying to put Humpty together again. We'll keep you updated with the latest. Local farmer Old MacDonald has recovered his pigs after they decided to take a field trip to the local market the other day. It was observed that this little piggy went to the market, this little piggy stayed home, this little piggy had roast beef, and this little piggy had none, and this little piggy went wee all the way home. The Kingdom School received new school buses today, which have all the parents very excited and the teachers elated. Because, unlike the old buses, these new buses' wheels go round and round. And just remember, folks, to send in your RSVP to the Prince's Ball on Saturday. Now, formal attire is requested, but pumpkin carriages and glass slippers are optional. And now onto a brand new segment here on the show we like to call Adventures in Bookland, where each week our storybook expert brings us his favorite tales from around the kingdom. We now go live to the Palace Library with Hansel A. Gretel. How you doing, Hansel?
I'm doing great, BB. Thanks for asking. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adventures in Bookland, where each week I'll take you into the stories and fairy tales that I love most. Now, my first selection is The Old Man and His Grandson by the Brothers Grimm. Now, don't let the name fool you. Those brothers are as happy as can be. Now, I don't want to give anything away, but I will say after reading this story, my heart got all warm and fuzzy inside. Okay, now, let's see here. Oh, here we are. The Old Man and His Grandson by the Brothers Grimm. There once was a very old man whose eyes had become dim, his ears dull of hearing, his knees trembled, and when he sat at the table, he could hardly hold a spoon, and spilt the broth upon the tablecloth, or even let it run out of his mouth. His son and his son's wife were disgusted at this, so the old grandfather at last had to sit in the corner behind the stove, and they gave him his food in an earthenware bowl, and not even enough of it. And he used to look towards the table with his eyes full of tears. Once, too, his trembling hands could not hold the bowl, and it fell to the ground and broke. The young wife scolded him, but he said nothing and only sighed. Then they bought him a wooden bowl for a few halfpence, out of which he had to eat. They were once sitting there when the little grandson of 4 years old began to gather together some bits of wood upon the ground. "What are you doing there?" asked the father. "I am making a little trough," answered the child, "for father and mother to eat out of when I am big." The man and his wife looked at each other for a while, and presently began to cry. Then they took the old grandfather to the table, and henceforth always let him eat with them, and likewise said nothing if he did spill a little of anything. Oh, I love that story, especially the grandson. My, what a big heart he has. Oh, well, that about does it for this week's episode of Adventures in Bookland. Join me next week when we dive under the sea to meet the Little Mermaid. Well, until next time, this is Hansel A. Gretel live from the Palace Library. Back to you, BB.
Well, thank you, Hansel, for that wonderful story. Really brought a tear to my eye and warmed this old heart right up. Well, that about does it for this hour. Coming up next hour, are breadcrumbs the GPSs of the future? We'll have to bring on our travel correspondent, Little Red, later on. Well, from all of us here at the Fairy Tale News Network, this is BB Wolf saying, stay safe, take care of your granny, and stay magical.
Well, wasn't that a great story? You know, fairy tales truly are magical. So why don't you join me again next week when we open this book again? You never know what we might find.